Welcome to the instructional video, Creating a Book. The features of the previous two videos, searching and subfolders, may be combined with this one, which will give the user of Klippings Kollector a robust powerhouse of possibilities. Let me illustrate. I have a subfolder under Owl Creek entitled Life Death. I want to do two things with this subfolder. I want to customize any notes or analysis or highlights without affecting the original book. I can't do that right now. Any changes I make here will occur in the other book. And I want to drag entries from other books into the entries of this subfolder. How do I do that? I create a book, and there are two ways to create a book. The first one is to right-click on the subfolder and choose Turn into a Book. Let's do that. I'll right-click, turn into a book. It asks for the title. Now in this case, I like to keep these distinct, so I'm going to put Owl Creek. I'm going to put this in parentheses. That tells me the original book by Bierce was Owl Creek, and I'm using a subfolder to create the book. You don't have to do this. It's just my method. And the book will appear. There's another change if you'll notice. The icon has a pencil on it. You see that right there? That means this book is a manual book. It's a created book, and you may edit it as you please. With that in mind, let's create a superfolder called Manual Books. Let's drag this Owl Creek one into it. And there we go. Any changes here? None of them will be reflected in either the book or this subfolder. This is a totally distinct, different book, and you may do with it as you please. Another feature is the ability in a manual book to change the location number. For instance, you can see 1832. This is editable, and the other ones it's grayed out. I can change this number, and by changing the number, I can change the location. One of my entries does not have the tilde before the word life. I want to find that entry. Now here, with so few entries, I could just simply go through them. But let's assume I have 107 clippings. I don't want to go through all those. So I will go over here to search. I will choose life, but I want to exclude the tilde. Search. Here's my one entry in which the word life actually means life as opposed to not life or death. I want this one at the top of my entries. Now I glanced before I did this, and I noticed my entry begins like with 18, so I'm going to make this entry 10. And because I don't want to lose my original location, I'll put here location 18, I think it was. If I'm wrong, I can correct that. And now it's there, it's location 10. Let's clear the search. You'll see it's at 10. And originally it was not 18, it was another one. Well, that's easy to find out. I obviously typed the wrong one. We'll come here, it was 72. So all I need to do is come back, click here, come here, and change this to 72. So I have my reference to my original one. Now, another popular usage of changing a subfolder into a book is to break up anthologies or collected works. For instance, I have the collected works of the Bronte family. Now, right now, I've only read the book Jane Eyre. Now, this is only part of my highlights, but I have read the entire book now. Later, as I start Wuthering Heights, that will become part of these highlights. And when I look up Chapter 1, I'll get Chapter 1 from Jane Eyre. I'll get Chapter 1 from Wuthering Heights, and it becomes confusing. So all I need to do is create a clippings folder. I'll call it Jane Eyre. There it is. I'll click the top one. Quickly go to the bottom. Shift-click the last one to get them all, and drag them over to Jane Eyre. Once that cursor disappears. It's finished. I can right-click on this, turn into a book, Jane Eyre, and this is just Charlotte who actually wrote this. The other one shows all the authors, so I'm just going to put Charlotte on here. Create it. And now I have Jane Eyre. I'm going to move it, since it's a manual book, I'm going to move it down here to manual books. Don't have to do that. I just am. And now whatever changes I make here are in this book only, etc., etc. I have the collected works of Edgar Allan Poe. I can pull out the ones I want. Let's say you have a book, a large book that you're going through in school. And in the first semester, you're reading these chapters or these stories. Well, you can create a first semester manual books for whatever, Mr. Brown's English class. Drag them into that. Then when you're ready to study for your finals, you simply go to that, and there they are. You're ready to go. Another way to create a book is to click the Create Book icon here on the top of the Books pane. So create a book. Now when one is created from scratch, it doesn't know what you want. So in this one, I'm going to create quotes, various authors. Something has to be put in here, and typically you're going to have something ready to copy and paste. In this case, I don't, so I just put a number 1 there and create. And it put quotes here under Jane Eyre because of where I had it. I'm going to drag it down to manual books. There, quotes. Now it's empty. Only one quote in the thing. It's kind of worthless. Now let's choose Walden. Let's search. Choose quotes. I'll click on these. Drag them down to quotes. And there they are. I can add another quote to this. Right click. Create a clipping after. I'll call it 200 to give a gap. Whatever is not eternal is eternally out of date. Now that is by C.S. Lewis. Create. And there it is. You can also drag quotes from other books into here. I'm going to arbitrarily click on the Consolation of Philosophy. I believe I have a quote in here somewhere. Right there. I'm going to take this. Normally you can only drag a quote from a book into a subfolder that belongs to that book. This won't go anywhere until I get to a manual book and go to any one of these manual books where I want it in quotes. I'll click on it, and there's 88 right there. Now I may want to rearrange that, maybe give it a 300 location and put his quotes together. A user could literally bring in whatever entries that he desired, and by using location numbers, he could actually create a logical outline of his entries. Manual books are very powerful. Copying and paste from a website, a Word document, or any e-text document that you can read online. The only limitation to the manual books is our imagination. The next video, Exporting a Book, continues the crescendo of features within Klippings Kollector. This concludes the presentation on creating a book.